There's an alleged bombshell second witness in the Bryan Kohberger case, and we're going to talk about it in today's video.
Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad, sipping from the cup at hey.
Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. This is the sofa, and this is Paul. My name's Paul if you're new to the channel. If you're not new to the channel, my name's still Paul. Now, what we're going to be doing today is kind of a short video, but we're going to talk about this that's been going on. A lot of people have hit me up on it, DMs and email, all that type of stuff, so I appreciate you doing so. And so I went and looked. What we're talking about is the Bryan Kohberger case. Bryan Kohberger has been accused of taking the life of the Idaho 4 victims, and what's been tagged as like the Idaho 4 case, right? And it was horrible. It was tragedy. These kids died a terrible death. So that being said, there was many different things and elements that went on during this, fateful evening, right? And one of them was the fact that there was a DoorDash driver who delivered food to Xana, one of the kids in the house, or the young lady, I should say. Everybody's kind of a kid to me that's 30 or whatever these days. I'm sorry. I'm just getting old. But this young lady, they ordered DoorDash. It's delivered just a few minutes before. Okay, so obviously there's going to be mega questions about, did the DoorDasher see something, so on and so forth, right? Well, fast forward. There was a channel, Officer Axum, I believe it is, who posts like body cam footage, things of this nature. So he or she, whoever it is, post this body cam footage. I think it was in September 2024. It's basically a DUI situation that starts off at her truck, ends up obviously at the police station and whatnot. So she will say some things in this, okay, talking about, I'm a witness, I'm the DoorDash driver. So there's that. Now also what's going on is recently there was kind of like this last ditch effort by the defense to delay the trial again and ask for a continuance, which does not sound like that's going to happen. So what we're going to do, that's the very quick gist of what we're talking about today. So I have my phone here. I've made some notes here. I'm just going to be referencing them as we go. Now, the first thing I put here is the continuance. So the defense is basically like, hey, look, we're not ready. We're still there's so much discovery. We're having to go through all of it. We're continuing to get discovery. We're not there yet, right? Now, the defense mentions how long, I think it's like the average that it takes, a case to go through. And then they mentioned, I think 3.5 years. And the judge is very quick to be like, that's federal. And, it's like, this is state kind of a thing. I think the judge, my vibe is that the judge is like, this has been 2.5 years. Let's get this going, right? So that was kind of funny. And I think the defense said something like, well, I'm not an expert in federal court or something to that level, but don't hold me to that right there. Now, also, Bryan's defense is still arguing about that Dateline episode. Dateline did an episode, and it was on May 9th, and it released all this information that we hadn't seen before. It doesn't paint Bryan in a very good light, okay? Now, throughout all these delays that the defense is doing and whatnot, once the prosecutor got up there, he accused the defense of doing like a scorched earth strategy, and basically saying, look, we've been doing this. This has been going on. They're going to keep doing this. This is the strategy. They're just trying to delay, right? And then also on that note, he's like, well, hey, they're talking about Dateline, they're talking about this, but they're not giving us any kind of, well, we could go to trial then, or this date or that date or whatever. Now, on that Dateline thread, if you will, the defense cites 2 upcoming things that are taking place. So we have an upcoming book and a 4-part docuseries. Now, the book is titled The Idaho 4, An American Tragedy by James Patterson and Vicki Ward. It's scheduled for release on July 14th, 2025. Then we have One Night in Idaho, The College Murders. The official trailer's on Prime Video if you look it up. That's going to be coming out, I think, like a few days before, a few days after. So in that little realm, okay? Well, so this is another thing that defense is like, look, there's these major things coming out. We're going to be trying to pick a jury. We're going to be trying to be doing this. This is going to just be terrible. Well, the state is saying, look, okay, so do we just delay the trial every time a piece of media comes out? Because this is, if you follow this case, it's all over the place, right? So, they're like, well, what do we do? Is this just our lives now? We just delay every time an article comes out or whatever? And I get both sides of the argument in this, right? So that's where the state is just like, we've not been given a date. We keep delaying. we've got to move this forward. We have to go on with this trial. Now, if you recall about that Dateline episode, this is what the judge said came out during that. So the surveillance footage of the suspect vehicle, one of him, like, or whoever, I should say, going around and around the house or whatever. AT&T records for Kohberger, content of Kohberger's cell phone, and photographs and information associated with Kohberger's Amazon account. So definitely there was a leak somewhere, and the Hippler is saying, you know what, and he told law enforcement, everybody basically, like, we save all your stuff. We want to see where this leak came from, and this is essentially going to be a different investigation, right? These are going to go alongside one another, and we're going to figure this out because it most likely came from law enforcement or something of this flavor. Now, the judge didn't decline during this day of, okay, well, you know what, continuance or this or that, whatever, but I'm going to quote what he said here. It's likely you're going to trial on the date indicated. I fully encourage everyone to continue as if the trial is going to take place when it is scheduled for. There you go, right? So we'll see on that. Now let's talk about that big bombshell stuff, right? So DoorDash driver dropped food off to Xana literally minutes beforehand. September 2024, lady who claims she is the DoorDash driver gets pulled over, finds herself in a DUI situation. She's on police body cam. Now I'm gonna say this. So from start to finish, so I watched the video, it's on Officer Axum's channel, and this is arguably somebody who's at a very low point in their life, okay? From start, you know, they're getting pulled over, there's stuff going on, there's, you know, a talk of pills, there's a lot going on, right? And I think it's a little bit more complicated than just, you know, a DUI or whatever, right? So I don't want to sit here and speculate on somebody's sobriety or anything of that nature, but I just would think this was a very low person in this person's life. Now, once the person gets to the station, this is when it's heard on the video, her saying, you know, I'm a witness in this case, and the cop's like, what case? And she's the one with the girls. In fact, let me refer to my notes here. She says, the murder case with the college girl, she said, I'm the DoorDash driver. I saw Brian there. I parked right next to him. Okay, and so this is bombshell. So what ended up happening is, Officer Axum puts this up there. Well, web sleuths are going to web sleuth. They figure out, wait a minute, this person's talking about the Idaho 4 case. There's an elusive DoorDash driver in the situation. Bing, 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 bing. And this blew up recently, like right around the time that this situation with the last hearing went. Okay, so the big question is, do we believe this person? Do we think that they are really the second witness, the DoorDash driver who's going to get on the stand and say, I was at the house, or not moments, but, you know, minutes before this happened. I saw Bryan Kohberger. I parked next to his car. Okay, so we're gonna quickly go down a few rabbit holes on the possibilities of this, because I've been like sifting through this. I went back and forth as far as like, do I believe them? Do I not believe them? You know, because I end up sitting here going in comment sections and, like, you know, just seeing like all these different avenues, and I find myself going down them. So overall, here's one thing. The police, in every single case that happens every single time, they always hold information back that we do not know until they get on the stand, point blank, period. So that is why I'm just like, until we get the evidence out there, there's stuff that nobody will know, right? Until it's all out there. I know people think that they know every last detail of these cases as it goes up to it, and that they know better than the investigators and this and that. And I'm not trying to say that investigators and people like that are without fault. Obviously, we see situations and cases and trials where this is far, you know, it's the case going on there, right? So, but until the information comes out, we don't know everything. So it is highly possible that, yes, this could be the DoorDash driver. Now, what are the motivations for her saying that? Well, we'll talk about that. But 100% we've wanted to know, who was the DoorDash driver? Did they see something? They were there just a few minutes beforehand. I mean, come on, right? This is a no-brainer on that level. Now, these are the threads that I see people talking about with this specific person. Number one is she is making it up, right? Making it up. She just got in trouble. She's trying to get out of trouble. She's basically trying to almost like clout chase. Like, hey, I'm going to be a witness. Yeah, I'm a witness in this case. You know, let's throw this out there. Let's like dry bag for, let me scoot past this or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Then there's the vein of, no, I believe her. 100%. Like, yeah, like, why would she lie? Why would she say that? You know, she's just having a rough time, a situation, whatever, okay? Then there's this. So, I think it was Brian Enton went out there with News Nation, like, to cover the hearing, but then this happened. So, let's go on two different avenues here. Let's go down the avenue first of, we get to trial. Bam, star witness, it's her. She was that DoorDash driver, right? I would think and assume that this would be very quickly found out because DoorDash would have a way of confirming that, yes, this lady was there, that was her, point blank, period, okay? So if all that being said there, it turns out it's her. What do you think the defense is going to do with an hour-long body cam footage of someone getting arrested for some kind of intoxication or substance and driving under the influence, whatever was going on there? What do you think they'll do with that? And her credibility, right? And Brian Enton was speaking of this like, you know, it's, I mean, come on, you know, kind of a thing. Now, so there's that level right there, right? Then there's the level of, was she trying to get out of trouble? Almost like a, I'll give you this information to reduce my sentence, you know, situation. So it pivots everything if it really is her. There's going to be a credibility issue that will be attacked. Now, I saw some people in comment sections, this is unverified. I don't know. This is sofa speculation. We're just talking comment section talk. So some people were like, oh no, she's known locally, or that kind of a thing. So again, credibility wise, if this person is the DoorDash driver and gets up there and it turns out that maybe she's got a history that stretches beyond the situation that went down, you know, running into Bryan Kohberger, it's way past, like, she's known with police, whatever, right? Okay. That right there is, again, credibility. Now, let's go over here, this other thing. Let's say she was lying. Well, then it's real clean cut. This is just somebody who got in trouble and was maybe trying to throw something out there to be like, hey, I'm testifying, maybe I can whatever. That's just, I mean, it's already a done deal, right? So I saw some people say, well, the initials don't match the initials that are on the thing, and the you know, the I can't think of the word right now, the indictment or the, you know, the police report, whatever you call it, and that could be very well true too, and kind of, you know, nix that out of the water real quick. That being said, again, my vibe watching it is I was like, this is a person that's at a very low point. And I was like, okay, I can see how somebody, if they knew about the inner workings of the case and this, that followed it, and was like maybe desperate and like, hey, I want to whatever. But I could also see someone who is very broken down, and I mean just maybe like exhausted. And the weight of that situation, and I'm not saying that it caused her to do things, but it's just an added stress. I don't know what that would be like if for a few years, 2.5, whatever you call it, I was like, oh, I went to a house and dropped off things, and like 5 minutes later, the guy who I parked next to allegedly went in and butchered all these people. I mean, can you imagine if you already maybe had some stuff going on? That would be like a very heavy blanket and burden to bear. And so to me, I'm very up in the air with the situation. I'm like, you know, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I just saw somebody who was hurting a lot and saying these things. And to me, at first, I was like, I don't see why I wouldn't believe her, because I wasn't getting this vibe of like, willing and dealing as much as I was, this is why I'm here. This is part of my mental anguish. You see what I'm saying? Now again, I could be 100% wrong, right? By the time this video comes out, y'all could be like, oh, Paul, we already found this out. It 100% wasn't her. Okay, got it. You know, I was wrong, right? It is what it is. That's what, with these cases, we kind of go through the ebbs and flows and figure them out. So, you know, it is what it is. But my overall feeling was, I was just like, I'm getting this energy. Like, this was more of like a, this is, I'm telling this officer, who the lady cop, I don't remember her name, was very, very, I just loved her energy, the professionalism, but like the safety feeling she provided. She was very real. The whole thing of like, hey, do you got something in your pocket? I'm breastfeeding, you know. She was just very real. And to me, the energy that I got was like, this is someone who creates, you know, this space where someone will feel comfortable saying, oh, I know I've done wrong, this is what's going on in my life. Almost like can I lean on your shoulder for a minute? You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of an energy. And I felt like that's what was going on. So now again, we'll know very quickly, right? But let's say this. She's DoorDash driver. She's getting up here talking about, yeah, I was there. It was totally that dude. I pulled up next to him. Yeah, I saw his car. I passed by him over there. I'm putting him at the scene 10 minutes before the murders. Okay, y'all, please. I mean, come on, right? So that's it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. While you're down there, if you could, drop some little sofas off for myself, Roscoe and Spirit, Bo and Luke, and you, the Sofa Squad. So we'll have a place to hang out and talk about Bryan Kohberger, Tiffany Slayton, Sherry Papini, all the people we talk about here at the Sofa Squad. And until we gather down there to do that, I'll see y'all soon.
Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup at hey.